Hey, everybody, welcome to the Local Service Podcast. And today we are on a virtual discussion here with our good friend and client, honestly, um, Kevin from Quality Mobile Detailing. Thanks for joining me, Kevin.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Awesome. So, yeah, Kevin told me his story about how he started off in detailing, how he did he ran his first marketing campaign. And I honestly was blown away. I was like, dude, you have to come on the podcast and tell your story because you don't know. Like, I can say, like, hey, this works, this works, this works. But when people find that solution on their own, it's like, it's not even about, our solution. It's like, it works, not just for us, but for people out there. So yeah, so Kevin, I guess tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your detailing company, how long you've been doing it, how it got started, and we'll just go through the journey of your process and your business.
Of course, thank you so much. So I'll go over like the start and then the middle and what we're doing right now. So I started detailing. It's almost 2 years now. It was February of 2021 or 2020, I think, or whatever. And in the beginning, or even before that, I used to work at Chick-fil-A. I was just a manager. Of course, getting paid like it was like $15 or $16 an hour.
Yeah.
And I personally got frustrated because I tried getting a raise, and I actually started doing marketing for that Chick-fil-A. And there was a week where I made him $18,000 plus running a promotion for this new sandwich that they had or whatever. And I asked him after, I was like, "Hey, can I get a promotion?" He was like, "We'll think about it." And a month passed, nothing happened. I was like, "I'm gonna take matters in my own hands," and I started just looking for other avenues of to make money. So I started doing DoorDash and then other stuff. I had a couple part-time jobs or full-time jobs that I quit. But I
What kind of
remember
promotions did you do for Chick-fil-A? I'm a
it
butt
was
in.
like that's a good question. So it was a flyer. So for a full week, they had this new grilled spicy deluxe that just came out at Chick-fil-A. For a whole week, we would put flyers in every single bag. And the promotion was just you would if you buy our new sandwich, you get a free large fry and a free large drink when you try it, in addition to whatever you're getting now. So it just boosted sales because everyone wanted to try the new sandwich and get the large fry for free with the large drink.
So right there, because you mentioned you got frustrated between not getting a raise and showing that effort or showing that result. So I
Yeah,
guess you thought like, okay, look, if I help bring in an additional 18K this week,
yeah,
something I should get something, right?
yeah,
And because you didn't, you're like, well, screw that. Let me see what I can do. Okay, cool.
yeah,
So
exactly. Yeah.
you're trying to a bunch of things, DoorDash, Uber.
Uh-huh. And even a month before I had purchased a vehicle. It was a month before I left. I didn't even know I was gonna leave. I purchased a new Honda Civic, and then of course after leaving, I had no money coming in. But I also ran into this problem where my car was dirty, of course. So I had to get it detailed. I just looked up car washes in detail. I knew that a car wash would scratch it. I heard it from my friends. So I went to a local place near me. It was like 5 minutes away. And I remember just having a horrible experience. It was my first time getting my car detailed. I paid like $150 or something. And I remember they scratched my car. I told them to remove the dog hair from my vehicle, the seats, and they took half of it. And I get it now since I detailed, but it was
You
just
understand?
frustrating because I thought, in my opinion, I thought I paid so much money. They scratched my car. They didn't remove the dog hair. So then I started detailing my own car at home after that experience. But then I started getting neighbors asking me, "Hey, do you detail?" And I was like, "No, I'm just washing my car outside my house." And they just kept asking. People just kept whenever they would walk, they would ask me, and I was like,
Are you like in
maybe
a high populated area that people see, you doing that? Or is it just your neighborhood?
it's just my neighborhood, to be honest.
Wow, okay,
And
cool. Do you mind me asking what kind of car it
yeah,
was?
it was a 2021 Honda Civic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was also not a good financial decision at that time to get it. But
I hear that.
yeah, but anyways, but yeah, my neighbors kept asking me, "Hey, can you come wash my car?" And this one time I was like, "Sure, I'll come wash your car." And then people looked at my results. They were like, "Well, this is really good." And I thought to myself, "Hey, why don't I start doing detailing? I could go to people's homes and detail their cars there instead of them having to go to the shop, wait an hour or two or three or even more." And I can just create amazing results. So I started doing that, and then as I was growing or slowly growing the business through referrals.
Let me just ask some
Uh-huh.
questions here. So
Sure.
like, what was the moment you decided, okay, let me do it for like, did you have a problem charging anybody for this?
A problem charging people?
Yeah, because they're
Oh
usually,
yeah,
in my experience, from what I've heard, it's like
yeah.
people. I think there's somebody behind you.
Oh yeah. Who knows?
Oh, okay. People typically have not an issue, but it's like a hurdle. Like, how much do
Yeah.
I charge? Is it too much? Is it too little? Did you go through that process?
Yeah. So in the beginning, I didn't really know how much to charge. I just started looking at what other detailers in my area started charging and what I thought was a good price. I used to charge, I think it was like $20 an hour. I thought that was good at the time, but then I realized that I was I was not as profitable because I was spending so much money on chemicals. The chemicals that I was buying was too expensive to what I was supposed to be paying for. And of course, now I think my time is worth more than what it is than it was before.
Did you just kind of pick that number? Like, that sounds good, or like,
Yeah, honestly, yeah, I was just like $20 sounds good. I'm gonna do that.
so how would you quote people? Would you say like, hey, for this car, it's probably 4 to 5 hours. It's usually about $20 an hour, so it'll be
Yeah,
anywhere between 80 to $100, something like that.
yeah, exactly. So
Okay.
I would kind of guess. I was like, I'm probably gonna take 5 hours on this sedan. I'll charge them $20 times five is like what is that? Like 120, right?
Right. So,
Mhm.
okay. So,
For $100, yeah.
how did you like? How long did it take you to figure out that you should switch the pricing structure?
I would say after talking to my friend also does detailing. His name is Luis. He does detailing as well, and he was like, "Hey, Kevin, why are you charging so cheap here at the shop that I work at? They charge blank amount for vehicles. Sometimes they even charge $100 per hour." And I was like, "Really?" And I was like, "Well, I'm charging $20 an hour." So I started looking at other detailers that are also mobile, that are have a lot of experience, and I actually went on YouTube and then started looking at other detailers like Oscar, of course, and he was charging. I saw this one video, he was charging like 700 or something for a car. I was like, "What the heck? That's a lot." To me,
Yeah.
I thought it was a lot, but now it's like it's just a normal price
Right.
now. But
Gotcha.
yeah.
Cool. So okay. So then you
Mhm.
figure that part out. Because honestly, like, from where you started, like, just to be Chick-fil-A, like you said, did you say manager or just regular
It was a
Chick-fil-A?
manager. Uh-huh.
And so if Chick-fil-A manager to like literally running your own detailing business, pretty well. Obviously, like, you guys get a lot of work.
Yeah.
Um, that's pretty fast to learn
Yeah.
all that stuff, I would think.
Yeah.
And so okay, so word of mouth, you're getting more customers. You're still like only mobile based, right?
Yeah, so I was only mobile based, and I was actually using my Honda Civic for detailing. And I'm sure you've seen a Honda Civic, like they're tiny, like nothing fits.
Yeah,
Um, the
you're
car was
limited. Space
getting
is limited. Mhm.
super limited, and I actually messed up my car's interior because of all the detailing I've done
Your
in it.
brand new car.
Yeah, and I was like, whatever, I'm gonna do whatever it takes to get this business to grow because of course, I don't want to go back to a regular job
Right.
or doing DoorDash as well. But yeah, after doing that for a couple months, I remember the winter hit, and I wasn't really sure what to do. I was like, should I get a job? Should I still detail during the winter? Because over here in Maryland, it gets super cold.
How cold
And
does it get?
I would say any under 30, most between like 15 and 30 degrees Fahrenheit during the winter. Sometimes
Is
even
that
less.
is that too cold to detail?
Oh, for sure. 30, I'm pretty sure 32 degrees is like freezing temperature, like where water freezes.
Yeah.
Sometimes I couldn't even detail cars because the water spigot was frozen.
Oh,
So
wow.
I drove to their home for no reason.
So that's a
Uh,
big problem, right? Because like, if your whole business relies on getting water out, and you
mhm.
can't get water out to clean cars, then
Yeah, I
there's
can't detail their
no way
car.
to make money, I suppose.
Exactly.
Okay, so how do you solve that issue?
So in that case, I would have to buy 2 gallons of water
Mhm.
and just bring a bucket and then put O and R inside the bucket, and I could hand wash the vehicle like that. And I would have to quickly dry it before it froze on the or before the water and the O and R froze on the paint of the car.
Gotcha.
And I also did that. Um, so back then I was actually I was actually able to get a pretty quick contract with Chick-fil-A. Back then they had 12 cars, but I remember it was either January or February, one of the coldest months, but I had to detail the cars myself. Um, all of them with ONR and water, since their water spigot is turned off. And I was like, I either detail them or I don't get paid. So I was like, I'm just gonna detail them in the winter.
So you saying a contract with like Chick-fil-A to wash their vehicles?
Yeah, so I would do the inside and the outside.
So how would that
And
work? Like,
also,
is it the same Chick-fil-A you used to work at?
no, it's a different one.
So like,
Yeah.
I mean that's kind of crazy in itself. So how did you get that?
So actually, one of my initial clients, his name was Isaiah. I used to detail his car, or I started detailing his car, and I was like, we were just talking because I had to take him home. He dropped off his car, and I had to take him home to his house. That way, he's not waiting multiple hours at my house while I'm detailing his car. Now, and he was like, he talked to me and he told me that he worked at Chick-fil-A, and I was like, whoa, don't you guys have Chick-fil-A cars or delivery cars? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, how many do you guys have? At that time they had 12, and I was like, hey, why don't you call your director and ask her, can I detail their cars? Because right now, or back then, they used to have to drive all 12 cars to a shop and back just to get them detailed. Now
Oh
that's
wow,
such a waste of time. Why don't I
Mhm.
just come to them, charge them the same price or a little bit more or a little bit less or whatever, and they could get them detailed there. And since they're closed on Sundays, it gives me a whole day just to detail them.
Right.
And
So
Mhm.
I mean I think that's kind of crazy. So
Yeah.
so your initial how you got your marketing or your customers, right? To
Yeah.
me, so far it sounds like neighbors walked by, they
Yeah.
wanted you to wash the car, you did that, or detail their. I'm not gonna say wash car, you detail their car.
Uh-huh.
Um, one of your clients had an existing relationship with Chick-fil-A. You asked them, so you're just the cold ask, really, right?
Yeah.
Um, so at what point, you know, at what point is that how you did it at first for the first like year? Like what was the strategy as far as because one of the biggest problems people have obviously
Mhm.
is just getting new customers, whether it's detailing, roofers, general
Yeah.
contractors, dentists, like anything. Like that's usually the problem. So like from your take, like what helped you ignite that new lead flow, especially for a new
Yeah.
business?
That's a good question. So the biggest thing I would say was I literally just looked through my phone. I just wrote everyone down that I thought that I know has a vehicle or has multiple vehicles.
You kept
And
it simple.
yeah, I did it simple. I was like, why don't I
That's what I like, man. You just,
yeah.
hey, who do I know and who would buy it from me? Like, there's
Yeah, it's the
nothing
most
crazy
easiest.
about that.
Yeah, because even I just started with friends and family, and of course, what friend or family is gonna say no to someone that just started a new company? The If they're really your friend or family, they're of course gonna support you. Like, hey, or maybe they'll say, hey, I don't need it detailed now, but maybe in a month, 2 months, 3 months from now, I'll give you a call. And I just started with them, and I gave them a good price. I just gave, like I said, $20 an hour, depending on what size vehicle they had. And I started asking. I was like, hey, can you leave me a review? I opened a Google page and I was like, hey, can you leave me reviews on my Google business page? I'm still new. I heard that Google is a good option
So
to grow a
how did you
business.
even get to that point? Like, how did you know that you should open up a Google profile and get reviews? Because that's,
Mhm.
that's like it's. I would think it's common sense. You obviously thought it was common sense, but like some people
Yeah,
really don't know. Like I meet people or clients that they've been in business forever and they don't have a Google profile. It's not
yeah,
updated. They don't have their services. They don't have their hours. They have the wrong address. So like, how
yeah.
did you arrive to that
So honestly,
Google
I
profile?
just I just went straight to the top. I was like, hey, where are these top? I just looked on Google. I was like, or YouTube, and I was like, hey, um, I noticed that all the top detailers have a Google business page, and I just searched up marketing for detailing, and a lot of people say SEO, Google. Some people use Facebook ads or Instagram ads, but I don't really do that right now. And for me, I think it was common sense because anyone that's looking for a service, the first thing they do is they go on Google. Hey, I want to get a haircut.
Right.
I go on Google. I want a detailer. Go on Google. I want a new jacket. I go on Google to look for one.
Right.
I was like,
You should be a salesperson for Symphony Advertising. That's
I know,
yeah.
right?
I think the same exact thing. Like when people have a problem, they're
Mhm.
looking for a solution, and that search engine is what connects the two things.
Yeah.
So that's cool. Okay, so you start getting reviews on Google. You start asking everybody that friends and family. What
Yeah.
happens next?
So after multiple months after, or right before spring, we're actually in December of, I'm pretty sure it was 2021 of December. I ran a little bit of ads on Google. I already had like maybe 5 or 10 reviews. And I was like, I'm gonna try this out. Let's see if maybe that boosts my sales a little bit. And I remember December was my biggest month of that year, and I was like, "Whoa, this actually worked." But then I'm pretty
So,
sure.
sorry,
Mhm.
to get some more context,
Yeah,
you ran that ad in September, you said?
no, December.
December
The
of
f-
like,
It was like 2020. Pretty sure it was 2021 because like I told you, I started February 2021. But then from February to like before, no, like November, December, I was just doing referrals and stuff like that.
right.
But because I noticed that the business was slowing down, I was like, what am I gonna do? So I just started looking for avenues to grow, and I was like, why don't I just pay Google to find me more clients? Maybe if I throw money at it, they'll give me more leads or any leads because I wasn't really getting much from Google.
Right, right.
But I remember it was my biggest month, and for some reason after that, I don't remember why I actually turned off the Google ads.
Yeah.
And in January and February, there was no Google ads. I can't remember why I shut it off. It was a dumb decision. I don't know why I did it, to be
I
honest.
think you just didn't
Uh-huh.
tie in the fact that if I put this money in, I get something out. Like maybe you just
Yeah.
thought it was not luck, but like, okay, it's starting to pick back up again. Like you didn't just put one
Oh,
and one together. I
you know what?
think
Actually, I
maybe.
know the reason why. I remember it was because December. I personally just thought it was because people are spending for, or they're a lot of people started calling me for gift cards. So I was like, maybe it's just because of the December.
Holiday
Maybe
season.
that's why I got a lot of business. So I'm pretty sure I shut it. It was January and February. I shut it off, but then I went like the beginning of March. I remember going back to it, and I just looked at the stats that Google presents, and I was like, why did I get so much business in December and January and February is super slow?
Yeah.
And I just saw the conversion. It just said I got a bunch of impressions, a bunch of calls, and I was like, why don't I just do it again in February? It's about to be spring. It's about to be
Mhm.
nice out. And that's ever since then I've never turned it off.
Right.
It's or else if I do turn it off now, I wouldn't have a company. It wouldn't do well.
Yeah, that's nuts. So like, I mean, I really want to exaggerate what the difference is. So like
Yeah.
when you started in December, like I'm pretty sure, I don't know this, but like I'm pretty sure it was a modest budget, right? I'm thinking.
Yeah, honestly it was probably less than if I had to guess, it would probably be like $100 or $200 per month.
Yeah, so that's nuts because for you,
Mhm.
$200 turned into who knows how much, but it was
Mhm.
vastly different than what you were doing prior to that. Like
Yeah.
versus not spending $200 was phenomenal, right? And so
Yeah.
you say, okay, fine, I'm gonna turn it back on end of February. And so what do you say? You just say like, all right, let me just start again with a modest budget because I know at this point you're spending way more than that.
Yeah.
Like talk to me about okay, Google Ads is working. If I put money, so like, what did like okay, fair March, like how what is the continuation there like of the story?
Yeah,
I
so
don't want to assume. I kind of
okay,
think
yeah.
I know what happens, but I
Yeah.
would like to hear you say.
Of course. So in March, I just spent the same amount of money. I was like, I'm gonna try and see with the same amount I spent in December, let's see if I get the same results in March.
Mhm.
And then I noticed it was actually better results in March. Of course, it helps that it's spring, it's warm outside, but also the ads are working. Like I'm getting calls from customers and I'm like, whoa, this is amazing. Like I've never made so much money from detailing before, and it's just growing and growing. And of course, um after after the March ends, like I said, I look at the stats and I look at the breakdown. It makes sense to keep investing in it. So I was like, okay, what if I spend like 300, then 400? Eventually, I just doubled. I put 500,
Mhm.
and then a couple months later, I was like, why don't I just start spending 1,000 on it? I doubled it again,
Yeah.
and I just saw, of course, I saw a huge increase, and I was like, this is crazy. I'm just investing money. I get a huge return back from it, and ever since then, I kept it at 1,000. Just now, last year of 2022, this the first like week of December, I knew that business was gonna slow, but
Mhm.
I didn't wanna I really wanted to keep the same exact sales that we had for December, now that it's January. So I put another $500 in it. Now we're at 1,500,
Yeah.
and we literally do the same exact sales as we do in the spring and summer.
That's great.
Even
I
though-
mean,
yeah.
so your case is a little bit, your environment is a little bit different because for you, the colder months, what you're really trying to do is you spend more so you can keep the same amount of sales.
Yeah.
Versus, somebody who always has, sunny San Diego, let's say,
Uh-huh.
if they spend more, then they can just expect to have more customers for that time. They'll
Yeah.
probably get more customers. But I mean, that's just how it is because you're in Maryland.
Yeah.
It gets really cold. So there's nothing you can do about that part. Cool. So like, I guess let me know a little, or tell us a little bit about like, you went probably from doing like a couple cars a week, right? When you were just doing friends and family,
Yeah.
to figuring out, hey, if I give Google money, not give, right? If I spend it wisely on Google,
Yeah.
I get way more calls. I get way more people inquiring about services.
Yeah.
So were you, I mean, from what I can tell, like you don't have a hard time talking to people. But like, how did you handle that new inflow of new leads? Because they're leads first and then there's customers. They don't come and just say, yes, take my money. We're ready. There's
Yeah.
a process that happens where you gotta close them. So like, was that easy for you? Was it like first nature? Did you go through some hurdles where you're like, okay, maybe I shouldn't charge that. Maybe I shouldn't say it this way. Maybe I should package thing. I know that's pretty based off your site. Like you could tell that's probably what you did, but yeah, just elaborate a little bit on that, if you will.
Like in the sales process or like the whole sales
from
process?
the inflow because
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure you got way more calls than you
course.
had ever before, right?
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
how did you handle that?
So in the beginning, it was kind of hard to handle because, of course, my pricing wasn't right. I was spending a lot of money on chemicals, and I wasn't really sure how to schedule people or that many customers. So I just pretty much took a day or almost 2 days just thinking it out. I was like, hey, what can I do with this new inflow of customers? The very first thing I came up with was the sales process, which I think is the most important thing. Like the first thing would be when I received the call, what I tell them, how can I make the call a lot shorter? How can I talk to them less, get all the information that I need? That way I can give them an estimate on the phone. And then once I go to their home, once I look at it, I can actually tell them, hey, this is going to be the exact price for the vehicle. And based on time, of course, experience, and the amount of money I'm going to spend detailing this car. And then at the end, and also being, of course, when I'm there, I want to, of course, make sure that I'm communicating with the customer, telling them, hey, this is what you should expect from the detail. Of course, there's some vehicle since your car is really stained, I won't be able to get 100% of it out, maybe 80%. That way they're not expecting 100%. And then at the end, they're like, Kevin, what the heck? This is horrible or whatever. Or they don't, just giving them that right expectation. But in order to grow the business even more from that, I knew that I had to get Google reviews. So at the end, I would ask them, hey, since you think I did an amazing job, would you be okay with leaving me a Google review? It would help my business a ton. And it's even better than giving me a tip. I'd rather you give me a review than give me a tip.
It's worth more than a tip. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. Or if you want to give me both, that's even better for me.
Gotcha.
And the last
And at
thing
this
would
point,
be,
sorry.
That's
At this point, you still don't even have a website, right?
No, I don't have a website.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, till now.
Yeah, till right now. Yeah.
To this day, you
Yeah,
don't.
till this day.
We're helping you with the website, which is why I know this. But
Yeah.
I mean, I think like two things that already stand out for me is like, one is like, I get the message a lot of like people wanting to start their own business, but they like overthink it. And I feel like you just looked at your phone and said, hey, who do I know? Right? That's one good thing you obviously that you did. And two is like, you don't need to solve like the hardest puzzle. If you find one thing that works, in your case, it was Google Ads.
Yeah.
You just reinvested money over and over, and that helped you grow exponentially faster than if you kept knocking on doors and kept asking your friends and family. Like you pushed it a little bit more, and then it just worked, and you reinvest. Some people that's SEO, some people that might be Facebook, some people might be Instagram. Really doesn't matter, but you found those two things.
Yeah.
And I mean, and I'm in the opinion that this all happened really fast. Like again, 2 years. I think it's a little bit more than 2 years now, but to go from that to what you're doing now, that's like pretty amazing. Okay, cool. So So you're doing the sales process, you're figuring some things out. You changed your pricing, right?
Yeah, I did change my pricing. I did it. I just matched what other mobile detailers were doing. Um, and of
In
course, I
your
changed a little
area?
bit. Yeah, in my area, I checked, and that's what what I charge now. I'm actually thinking about increasing the prices again, probably in a month when spring hits.
Do,
Since everything
do,
is going up.
do you run into any issues with people like either thinking your prices are too high or thinking that your prices are not
Yeah.
of this world? Like, do you ever run into that?
Yeah, honestly, all the time, I would say probably 30 or 40% of them telling me, "Hey, your price is too high." And when I tell them the price, they're like, "Really? That's a lot of money." And they tell me I could just get my car washed over there at the local auto
Mhm.
spa, and I was like, "That's great," but they're not gonna take their time.
Right.
Just think of it this way: it takes maybe 5 or 10 minutes to wash your whole vehicle at a car wash. For me, it takes me 5 or 10 minutes just to clean one tire, maybe two tires. So at the end of the day, it's priced this way because of the amount of time I'm going to take and the results that going to be able to bring to your
Right.
vehicle.
Right. And on that note, like
hmm
from my understanding, your Google ads, the way you set them up, are you doing any kind of targeting that, or like, are you like, is it specific towards anything, or it's pretty broad as far as like, if you are interested in car detailing, like that, maybe that's why you're getting
Yeah.
like a 30 to 40% percentage of people asking like, or saying like it's a little too much. I'm
Yeah.
assuming that's the setup.
So right now I have it set up where it's like keywords where only people that search for car detailing, car wash, detailing near me, mobile detailing near me, those are the only people that call me. Anyone
Right.
that's interested in detailing or
Gotcha.
car
Okay.
wash.
I see. So you're not really you're not yet focused on like any specific services. It's more
Um,
like in general. Like if you're focused, if you need auto detailing, mobile detailing, we got you.
yes, it's more general, I guess you say, huh?
Gotcha. Cool. So yeah, lots of areas to add to, not improve on, but like you can add
Uh,
another layer to that.
oh yeah,
Uh,
of course, yeah.
cool. So then, okay. So now you figured out the sales process, you figured out your pricing. What next?
So once I found the pricing, the packages, the sales process, I would say and the next thing would be scheduling. I just had to make sure how to figure out how can I schedule these people or how can I have allocate enough time per vehicle without even seeing the vehicle, just kind of giving an estimate on my schedule and seeing how many cars can I do by myself um, per day. For right now, me by myself. I can only do 2 cars a day. If
Mhm.
I haven't someone work with me, I could do 3, maybe 4 cars a day. So once I figured that out, I would just schedule people. For right now, it's like 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. Since I can only do 2 cars by myself, it's either 10 a.m. or 3 p.m. And then if people wanted 8 a.m., I'll tell them no. I can't do that. The next day we have, if Monday doesn't work at 10 a.m. or 3 p.m., I can do Tuesday at 10 a.m. or 3 p.m.
I
Once I
see.
got that figured out, all the calls I just created my schedule for the week. And then starting Monday, I would just schedule the next person for whatever day is available
I
or
see.
whatever time they're available.
So it was a little system. So 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and one of the Monday through Saturday or Monday through Friday, one of the
Yeah, Monday through Sunday.
oh whenever they'd be willing to
Yeah.
take it. That's cool. So did you like how from the workload, like when you were with friends and family, how like was it taxing? Was it more tiring? Like how was that? Like going from doing one every other day, one every 3 days to like two a day consistently. I
Yeah.
mean, just how did that feel? Like was it too much at some point?
Yeah, I would say in the beginning it was the learning process was harder because I didn't know what I was doing. I had to go to Google or YouTube and find out what I'm doing. And of course, back then I had a lot more free time. I could just schedule anyone if they wanted 6 a.m., 8 a.m. Yeah, you're on the schedule. Have
Yeah.
all this free time.
Uh-huh.
But like I said, now, or as soon as business started picking up, like I said, I had to be more strict with my time and tell them, hey, these are the only times I have available. And yeah, as business grew, of course, the more problems I got, but they're great problems to have. I rather have a busy schedule people calling me 24/7 than having a business like I had before, where I would get one call a week, twice, two calls a week, or whatever.
Yeah,
But yeah,
big difference.
yeah, and I would say it's a learning process. You just have to trust in the process, believe in yourself, believe in the system you have, and of course tweak it if you had to change it a little bit. But other than that, if you're just consistent and always look back at all your processes like systems and stuff like that, you should be fine in growing
I
any
see.
business, to be honest.
Yeah, and I guess for even more context,
Sure.
during this whole time, were you like, was this your sole, like, not purpose, but like your only job, or were you like in the beginning doing other things, or did you
Yeah,
just
like
commit fully
so I was
from
really
the
committed
get?
to doing it. I would say the only in the beginning when I didn't have that many jobs, whenever I had gaps in my schedule, I like doing DoorDash because it's flexible. Like if I get a last minute call, I could just
Yeah,
stop door dashing and then go detail a car. And then all the days that I didn't have busy, which was a lot of days to be honest back then, I would
yeah.
just DoorDash, start at whatever time I wanted to, and then end at whatever time I wanted to. But back
So
then, I wanted to work a lot on DoorDash. That way, I could make more money from it, and then just reinvest it into detailing and buying
so
stuff.
DoorDash was the, you can call it the transitioning point, right? Or the transitioning um job or whatever. But you could
Yeah,
also call it like the initial investor. Like
yeah,
DoorDash allowed you to do
yeah,
this. Like it was
pretty much.
how you were able to fund this for to start it.
Yeah.
And I guess this might be valuable for some people listening. So like, how
Uh-huh.
does DoorDash work? Like,
Oh, that's a good
yeah,
question. So DoorDash, it's pretty simple, honestly. You just if you want to become one of the, or they're self-employed, so you just get on the app, you download DoorDash. Of course, you fill out all the information. In a week or in a couple of days, they give you an approval whether you can work with them or not. I got approved. After that, it just goes over all the rules and regulations, which is pretty simple. They give you a bag. All you have to do is pick up the food from a restaurant, put it in the bag, and then drive it to the customer's home or apartment or business, wherever they're at. And then they give you money, and of course, in exchange for the service that you're doing. Um, but it's still expensive because and they don't pay you that much because per order can make $5 or $10, take 30 minutes. But you also have to spend money on gas, oil, and if anything happens to the car, then you're kind
that
of
comes out
screwed.
of that.
Yeah, exactly. Oops.
So what was your overall experience with that? Like, would you say that's a good, like, for people trying to jump into something else? Like, would you say that's worth doing, or would you say like maybe that wasn't the best like transitioning type job?
Honestly, I don't think it was the best thing. I would not do DoorDash. I
You
personally
don't
wouldn't do
recommend it?
DoorDash. I wouldn't recommend it.
Okay.
I mean, it's good if that's your only option, but if you already have a full-time job that's paying you well, I would recommend sticking to that until your business does more money than your regular job. And then that's when it's safe to say to quit your job and then do detailing or any other business that you're focusing on. That we have a safety net instead of
Yeah.
what I did.
In a perfect world, I see.
Yeah, in a perfect world.
That's your, yeah. I would say that in a perfect world that I would agree with you, but I feel like
Uh,
for like the vast majority of us, especially me, it like
yeah.
takes like a dramatic scenario. So me, I got fired. Like I
Okay.
literally got axed. And
Oh
like the
wow.
next day I closed like my first client. Because I
Okay.
knew I was just like you, I'm sure you knew you wanted to do something. And I
Hmm.
always knew I wanted to do my own like digital marketing firm.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, well, I was forced to do it, thankfully, right?
Yeah.
Um, and I kind of acted up like I deserved to get fired. Sure, like whatever. Like I was asking for it. But yeah, no perfect world. You got a bunch of money saved up and you got all, the leads are coming in
Yeah.
and it's an easy transition. But I think more times than not, it's like out of necessity, like, holy crap, I need to make money. So like, how do I do that? Okay. So, all right. So you figured out the process, you got the sales down, you got the Google ads working.
Mhm.
I think we're pretty close to like where we are currently, right? Or are we missing something part of the story?
Honestly, you got it most of it, yeah. Um, I would just say, yeah, you got most of it.
So, okay, so we're here. I mean, what is your take on it? Like this overall experience of starting your business, figuring all this stuff out, like, what do you think of it? What is your take on your experience?
My take on it would be if I could go back, there's so much I would change. Like if I just knew what I knew now, I would just go
Yeah.
back. The company would be a lot bigger now than it is. But you just have to, of course, trust in the process. Of course, whenever you're first starting off any business, everything seems impossible. Everything seems like a secret. Like other people that have more successful businesses, it's like they know something that you don't know, and of course they do know something that you don't know. But
There's some truth to it. Yeah.
yeah, but another thing I would say is that just believe in yourself. Like if you just honestly, if you just try to win every day, day after day, if you win more days throughout the week than you lose, then weeks turn into months that you win, months that you win
Right.
turn into years that you win. So just being consistent would be the biggest thing, and always try to learn, because there's always someone that knows more than you in the business. That's why I always try to look for other detailers I know, even people that maybe don't have as a successful business as me. Sometimes I even learn things from them.
Right.
It's crazy. So being consistent and learning would be
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
those are wise words. Like you can't, I mean, you just said it. You can't lose if you're constantly, even if they're small wins, big wins, as long as you're constantly going the right direction,
yeah.
then over time you'll get to whatever destination it is you're going to end up at.
Yeah.
So what's next? Like, okay, we're here. Like, what are the next moves? What are we? What is your your outlook for 2023?
For 2023, honestly, I'm looking to get more fleet contracts. Right now we have a local Chick-fil-A that we do. We also do Carvana, which is they give us a lot of cards to do every month. We detail them every month. Our goal is, of course, to get more monthly customers. That way, we have more business. I guess monthly customers help us, I guess, get more predictable money coming in.
Right.
And even if a customer leaves, we have all the other customers that we have. The second thing would be to, like I'm doing now, I'm investing in the website. That way I could, of course, get more leads, and more leads, I can hire more people. And eventually I can get out of the business, not out of it 100%, but I can delegate more tasks to my employees and eventually have managers. But
So,
Uh-huh.
I did have a question. Sorry.
Sure.
So is it currently still just you, or do
So
you
right
have?
now, during the winter, it's just me. It's yeah, just me. And then I
The
did
sun's
have
out.
I still have employees just for the contracts that I have. Like I mentioned before, my friend does detailing, so he helps me do like the Carvana cars, the Chick-fil-A cars. And then for 4 months, I had an employee. It was actually my cousin. He worked for me.
Gotta stick
He
to
was,
that friends and family.
I know, right?
You still looking? You still looking at the phone? Like, who can help me?
Yeah, who can help me? And he helped me. He stopped helping me December 1st or mid-December, but he was working for me 4 months before that. And that was when the I started to see a huge increase in sales. So I was like, definitely gonna need help for the summer/fall, I guess. That's when I hired him. But then he went back to Mexico, so I was like, okay, I can't have my cousin help me anymore. No, I'm serious. He was only here for a visa or whatever, but
Oh, I
or
see.
for vacation, so he had to go back. So now I'm here by myself, but I'm still going to, of course, during the spring and summer, I'm definitely gonna hire 1 or 2 people. That way I can keep growing the business.
Yeah, that's important. Cool. So I have no idea how long we've been going,
I don't know either.
but I mean, I think it's a great story. I think you hit, like, obviously you hit a couple of things. You found out what you wanted to do, you figured out how to do it, and you figured out how to get customers for it.
Yeah.
So if you stick to your own mentality, which is small wins consistently for years to come, like, who knows
Yeah.
what can happen? I don't know,
Yeah.
but I'm sure it'll be good. Any parting words as we close this this podcast?
I would just, like I said before, just believe in yourself, and the more consistent you are, the better results you get. And yeah, if you want to start a new business, I would just say focus on advertising or marketing, because without sales or marketing, you don't have a company. You could be the best detailer, the best roofer, the best carpenter, but it doesn't matter if you don't have any customers. So just focus on that and you should be fine.
I like that. I obviously like that a lot. Cool, man. Well, thank you so much for hopping on this podcast. Like I said, that was super cool, amazing story. And I'm just surprised how like quick that's fast, dude. Like to do from like zero to what you're doing now is like pretty amazing. So good
Thank you.
job. Thank you so much for coming on, and hopefully we'll talk again soon.
Great. Thanks, Caesar. Have a good one.